Hey everyone, Dr. Vince here, and welcome to this final video in this training series of how to improve our dinner talks. And if you've enjoyed this series, please subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications when any future trainings become available. Also, if you're in one of these niches, whether it's decompression or neuropathy, weight loss, stem cell, basically offering high value care plans, you should join us this Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for a live webinar I'm holding called The 3 Secrets to 7 Figures in These Niches. And we're going to go over some great information that you can use right away to increase your income, increase your impact in your community, and again, create more freedom for yourself by leveraging your expertise and your time. So just go to chiropracticconsulting.co to learn more and register. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into today's training, the close. Hey everyone, Dr. Vince here, and welcome to this final training in this series on how to create a powerful dinner talk or public speaking engagement or lunch and learn. And today we're going to cover the close, right? So this is going to be the last part of the talk. And as we have reviewed before, the 4 components of a great talk, the structure of a great talk. We have the content, we have the Q&A, we have the transition, and we have the close. And so the reason why it's nice to structure it out is it's just like movies, right? There's a first act and a second act and a third act, and it's been that way for 100 years. People are used to it. So if you, and this really is 3 acts, right? Because the content, the Q&A, and the close. The transition is literally just a bridge here, and we talked about that in a previous video. But when you follow a structure, and you can think of it like first act, second act, third act, it's more natural for people, and they will respond more favorably. Okay, and so the transition we talked about the last time, I'm just going to just revisit this briefly because it goes right into the close. This is where we're going to bring it down. We're going to maybe change our cadence, slow it down a little bit. We're going to lower our voice a little bit. And the reason why we like to have that transition is because it's just a clear indication that we're moving on, right? We're changing speeds. We're going into a different direction. And it's a nonverbal cue to the audience, right? And it's helpful for you to kind of have that in your back pocket. You just know, well, okay, when the questions are done, then I'm going to do my transition, and then I'm going to go into my close. And I do recommend that you memorize your transition and your close. The content, not necessary, right? It's just inbred and it's ingrained in our head. We know what we're doing and why it's so great and how it can change lives. And so we don't need to memorize that, right? And the Q&A, obviously, we don't need to memorize anything other than I did recommend in the Q&A section to have 2 a couple frequently asked questions, and does insurance cover it, and how much is it going to cost? The reason why I recommend that is because people are either going to ask you about that, or they're going to be thinking it, and if they don't get an answer to it, they'll typically not make an appointment, because the old saying, as I've said in the last 3 videos, a confused mind will typically say no. So we want to bring clarity, and we just want to be honest with people, and we want to make sure that those that show up for consultations are very high quality and pre-qualified. So we have our transition, and then when we talk about the close, okay, if you memorize anything, this in the transition, we want the 3 C's, right? We want to be cool, calm, and confident, and then the audience will reflect that back to you, right? If you're sweating and nervous and not comfortable, that will be reflected back, and not only in their demeanor but also in the results, right? So you can think of when you're public speaking, it's kind of like a mirror. How you go is how the audience goes, and so a lot of doctors, they get a little nervous at the end, like, oh my god, now I got to ask for money. Well. Usually that happens when you're inexperienced, right? When you haven't done it a lot, when you haven't practiced it, when you haven't put in the work, right? It's like, going to compete, in the Olympics, but you haven't earned your way there. Maybe it's not quite the same, maybe not quite the high level of that, but if you put in the work and you practice, then it just gets easier and easier if it's a problem. You know, Jerry Seinfeld has this funny bit where he's like, you know, public speaking is literally only second to the fear of death. So, in other words, no. It was that people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. So, in other words, they would rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy. So, okay, now that I butchered that joke, let's move on. So, the point being, be cool, be calm, be confident, they will follow. Now, the ending is super important, right? If you think about like movies again, typically audiences will forgive if a movie has a rock star ending, like it just kicks butt, hits all the high notes and ends really well, then people will forgive a lot of the other stuff that didn't work in the movie, and they'll leave with that feeling. And the same thing goes for your talk. For me, as you probably know, I'm a movie buff. I used to work in Hollywood, but like Raiders of the Lost Ark, gosh, that movie was like, I don't know, it was in the 80s, but I still remember the Nazis, the faces melting off the Nazis, Indiana Jones and Marianne are tied, back to back, and he's like, close your eyes, and the spirits are swirling, and then the faces come off. So we remember the endings when they're good and they're powerful. That's what I want for you. I want you to have a really powerful ending to your talk so that people will sign up and come in and take care, and you can change lives. So that's why it's important to really, invest, your time and effort and energy into this. So, I have an example here for you. Obviously, you can use this or toss it and write your own. I mean, obviously, either way works for me. But we start with the transition, right? So we're going to bring it down. Like if we were up and excited and talking about, answering questions and blah, 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 then we're going to bring it down. So, let me ask you a question. This has been some pretty cool information tonight, right? And then nod your head, right? Nod your head, because you'll get that back to you. And then you repeat briefly what you've talked about. We talked about disc problems tonight, and they don't mean automatic surgery, and blah blah blah. So then and then we're going to go right in the close. But I can only help you so much, right, in this brief presentation this evening, and that's what I'm here for. That is what I do for a living. I help people improve their health and change their lives in the process, right? So they can get back to doing the things that they love. All those things that this condition has forced you to stop doing, like spending quality time with your spouse, or playing with your grandkids, exercise, goodness gracious, getting a good night's sleep. So how would you like me to personally help you with this? At our office, the Leone Disc Center, we specialize in helping people with exactly the types of conditions we talked about tonight. And to make it really easy, we created a new patient special, and it includes a complete evaluation, everything you need, soup to nuts, right? Your consultation, the examination, x-rays, as well as what we call our doctor report of findings, okay? And all of this is to determine if you're a good candidate for care. Okay, and if you aren't, I'll tell you, and I'll try to give you the proper referral. Okay, but if you are, in the doctor's report of findings, and this is where, after I've looked at all the information we've gathered, I'll create a specific care plan just for you, so that you can get back to doing those things that you love. Okay, and that's if you're a good candidate. But how does that sound? That sounds pretty great, right? And normally, that complete evaluation is $275, but since you've invested your time with me this evening, tonight is just $65. Okay. Now we do ask that you pay for it here tonight to reserve your time on the schedule. Now the reason why that is because in the past at these types of talks, we didn't require people to pay at the dinner to hold a consultation time, and they got real excited and they made their appointments, but for whatever reason they didn't show up. And that means someone else wasn't able to have that consultation time. And that's just not fair to people who are really committed. Okay, so this is a small investment to determine if you're a good candidate for our protocol, and we feel like that's fair to both parties. Okay, So this is the end of the presentation, folks. I'd like to thank you so much for attending, and I'd just like a show of hands. And then raise your hand. Who's interested in setting up an appointment tonight? And then kind of nod your hand and nod your head and raise your hand. Okay. Again, people will start to mirror it. If they're on the fence, they'll raise their hand. But the people that are already there, they'll raise their hand, right? And that gives your CA a good idea of who to specifically go up to right away. And then right just to final ending. Hey, awesome! I'm so happy. If there's any other, since there's no other questions, I'm going to have my assistant Cindy come around. She's going to make those appointments, and I really look forward to seeing you in the office soon. I'm Dr. Vince Leone. Thank you again so much, and have a wonderful evening. And then that's it, right? And then your assistant should start clapping, right? And then they'll start clapping, and then that's a natural transition for you to just say, nothing really. You just kind of wave and then leave. So you shouldn't be sticking around. Okay, you should get out of there. There's front stage and there's backstage, right? The front stage is the performer, the backstage is the support, right? So now it's time for backstage to come out and take care of business. Front stage, the performer leaves. Now that's I didn't make that terminology up. That's a Dan Sullivan reference, but it's very true, right? So you want to kind of keep that mystique. You've answered the questions, you've given the information. Now it's your time for you to leave. You go, right? And then your staff. That's why in this whole perfect workshop system that I have, it's 95% staff driven. Like the doctor just shows up. The doctor is a celebrity, right? That's how you get your biggest conversions, both in the presentation and at the office, right? When you're presented as a celebrity, it's people, your conversion goes up. People want to work with you. It just is what it is. That's why you have so many celebrities endorse products, because they just know that the conversion's higher. So that's how we want to present you. You are the celebrity, and the staff is going to do everything else to support the celebrity. Okay, so guys, that's it. Now what? Well, write out your close, and then practice it. Practice it a ton. Video it, and video your whole talk. When you actually give them, because the idea here is we want to create, a systematic approach so that we can see, okay, we did it this way. What was our results? Okay, we had 20 people show up, and only 5 made an appointment. Well, then we need to make some changes. Go to the video, right? It's like game tape review. It's like after the football games. Well, the coaches go back and look at the game tape. So this is the same thing. So you want to hone your craft, and if you do this, this can be a really, really great source of high quality new patients, because if they've sat through your entire presentation, they now know whether insurance covers it or not. They know how much it is. They know they need to pay for an appointment. If they still raise their hand, pay for their appointment, come in for their appointment, that is an excellent quality candidate, right? And your most important asset is your time. Okay, so the whole goal with me creating this perfect workshop system is to put an emphasis on, the best use of your time. Okay, because if you're going to sit through not like 8 or 9 crappy consultations just to get one good quality patient, well, you can be doing other stuff at that time. You can be working on your business, strategically looking to the future, training staff, honing your craft in the office. There's much better things you can do with your time than to sit with people that have no intention ever to move forward with care if they have to pay for it, or if they're not a good candidate, if they're in the right office, right? So that's the whole idea with this. You spend 1 hour a month in a dinner talk to create and screen high quality candidates for your office. So if you can get 30 people there or 40 people there, so you get 40 people there. It's not that tough. 20 people make an appointment, 10 sign up for care. Okay? If your care plan's $5,000, you just made $50,000. It happens. It happens all the time. So guys, I hope this was super helpful for you. Any questions at all, just email me, drvince@drvinceleone.com. And I hope you enjoyed this series. Leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notifications for any future videos. So take care, and God bless.